Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. And for newcomers, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to get all of this in your own game room or your own man cave, wherever you want this thing. These are shelves not just for games, of course, they're for any kind of media, but specifically people don't know where the heck to get these things because they're not tailored to gamers and they're not even tailored to media. These are called acrylic J-racks. Alright, I didn't even hear about these from another gamer or collector or anything. I just kept looking on Google for acrylic wall displays, and after measuring boxes myself, I was comparing the dimensions to the shelves and the boxes to see what would fit best. And acrylic J-racks are actually for envelopes and greeting cards in retail stores. Ridiculous, right? They are extremely easy to put in, they're not even expensive, and let's just talk about how these even work. They're actually extremely easy to put in. There's just two little holes on the corners for a nail, and that's it. All you do is hold it up to a wall, maybe mark it, and then you just tap in a nail on each side and you put it in there. So these things have amazing versatility. You could use it for anything, whether that's records, old VHS tapes, DVD movies, CDs, game boxes, game cases, or just cartridges like we were talking about. The amazing thing also is they come in different lengths. So when I was measuring a bunch of the boxes, I learned that, Super Nintendo and N64, they're about 7 inches long, or wide if you will. So of course I was grabbing ones that would make sense with the length, and also grabbing open-ended, because there are ones with end caps, and that would not allow some games to fit if there is a little bit of overlap there sticking out. So of course after measuring, I was ordering lengths that made sense, like a 35-inch wide would make sense to display 5 games. And back here behind me, you can see that we actually have two 35 inches, so we've got 10 games going across for N64 and Super Nintendo. Whereas for the NES and the Genesis, of course, can fit a lot more because they're vertical boxes, not very wide. Same thing over here with the GameCube. Don't worry, we'll be looking at everything. Over here is a much smaller wall that only can hold 2 games at a time. I think the width there is like 11 inches, but since they're open, they can fit all of that. So let me just show you how amazing these things look with any kind of media or games in them. And it's important to note the length I'm holding, or the width I'm holding, is 23 inches, I believe, 23 or 24 inches. So right here we have 5 Game Boy boxes. Here we've got Sega Genesis cartridges, and of course you could put these shelves together as close as you want, and you might think that's kind of a long width for 6 games, even though it looks awesome. But the thing is, I'm not just holding 6 games, I'm holding 12. Yes, and it's very easy to move things around for whatever you want to display next, you know what I mean? I don't use it in this method, but clearly it works. It works well with NES cartridges too. And once again, the width allows you to hold double as what you're displaying. So you can move things around however and whenever you want. How cool would that be to have an entire room just full of your favorite game cartridges on the wall? Best wallpaper ever, you know what I mean? You can just grab one, play, and then just put it back. It feels awesome. And of course it looks awesome with Super Nintendo too. So whether it's your favorites or your rarest games, whatever you want to display, it looks great. And look, with the slanted bottom, it even slightly staggers them, so you can see the top of the next game behind it, which looks great. And of course, as you may have guessed, your N64 displays excellently as well. And it also still, even with its slightly thicker cartridges, has room to fit 2 at once, as long as you do adjust it slightly. But there you have it. Looks great. Another quick example, of course, your favorite DVDs or seasons of shows, they fit great in here. And might as well just show the PS2 because, it's the same dimensions as like a DVD case. You can hold one and display it proudly, or you can also stack them up if that's how you want to display your games. And once again, looks sick. And the really last example to drive this home is some Wii games. Not as if we're surprised at this point, but once again, you could definitely put all these on your wall and all of a sudden look like you have a store in your room. But the thing is, you're not taking up an inch of floor space. As far as approaching this for yourself, I recommend, of course, floating shelves and standard shelves for media are great, but here's a great way to take up space on your walls if you don't want to just throw up a poster just for sake of it not being bare. And also it's very functional. Like you saw, you can just pull games out of it whenever you want. It's just kind of sad to have a ton of games but only see the spines of them until you finally pull them out. This way you don't need to deal with that. You can just see all the fronts of your games, and it actually feels like you have a lot more because you can appreciate it more and see everything. And there's just naturally going to be things that you need, like floating shelves to carry if you have console boxes or accessory boxes, or big box games like for the Nintendo 64, like Star Fox, of course, is up above the camera right now, and so is Pokemon Stadium and a couple of controllers. And of course, you know, if you have Super Nintendo stuff, this wouldn't fit really on the wall, although that'd be cool if it did, but you need floating shelves for things like that if you don't have some other plan. So that's a great way to mix it in. As you can see in the top corner, I have a floating shelf right there. You know, I need to mix them in, otherwise I'd run out of space. You can't put everything on your wall, but what do you want to see every day? For me, it's my games, so that's why I do it. So as much as I wish I could say, go to some website /Marmax Gaming, I have no official partnership. I don't benefit at all from this. But I do know that a lot of people wish they knew about a product like this. They have no idea. And how would you? It's not tailored towards media or gaming at all. It's for envelopes and greeting cards. So now that that's out of the way, just keep in mind we're going to look at the wall all together. And to be specific, if you don't want to just Google for acrylic display shelves, if you go to achievedisplay.com, that's where I have had the most consistency with it. And I say consistency because one time I got one that seemed to be like a little squished, and it was actually kind of tight on the N64 and Super Nintendo boxes. But the thing is, it's not like I had to throw it away, because you know what's thinner than that are a bunch of other boxes like the NES and the Genesis. So nothing goes to waste if anything weird like that happens. But overall, I'd say it's time to take a look at what I've got going on now and plans for the future. Alright, so let's take a look at what we've got going on here. You know, I've got a really modest little Switch collection up there with a PS2 box. But here I just put in a GameCube section, which can definitely grow. Well, that's what I've got so far. And the cool thing with these is it looks custom done because, you know, if I wanted to, I could fill up that space right there. I think it's nice for the separation between the libraries, but I've thought about it. I can definitely make space with that if I were to use shelves like that. Little 10 or 11 inch shelves would hold that very nicely. But right now, as you can see, the top shelf, I've got NES games. And then right below that, I added the Sega Genesis. Little tip that I would suggest to make these display really well, even if they're not in the best of shape. Like, for example, this looks sweet, right? The thing is, it's like squished and kind of messed up, the shape wise. I got this Turok box for extremely cheap because you don't have to be really picky if your goal is just to see your games. As long as the front displays well, that's all you need. And these collector cases, the clear protective part on the outside, those are actually not very expensive. Like if you buy a bundle, I'm pretty sure it averages to be like $1 each. So $1 each, it's really not much to make a room look like this. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe so you can see more updates of the game wall with when I cover this whole thing with games, and also just to get updates on reviews, because the way I approach collecting and playing is actually quite a bit different than a lot of people. I only want to display boxes if I've beaten the game. So if I have a box of any game on the wall that I've beaten, that means it's on the list to beat, because I do not believe in just hoarding a ton of games and never playing them. That is not the style. That's not the way. That's not what these are. These are not trading cards. These are games. So hope to see you guys again very soon. Stay tuned for another review and updates on the gaming wall, as I also try to put together a cool pop culture section of it with like superheroes and cartoons and movie-based games, which once again, you'll see reviews on me beating them, and those are all extremely ridiculous or difficult. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you very, very soon.